That's a good insight. And as it relates to the value that is getting created, you talked about value in the context of customers' propensity to pay, irrespective whether it's basic or advanced.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of debate on where value is actually going to accrue in the new world order, driven by AI, whether it's models, whether it's infrastructure below that, or whether it's applications, all, some. So how do you think about it?
Oh, a very deep, insightful answer on that.
You don't care?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's complicated. I know it's not the best way to answer the question, but we're still observing, right? Let's look at the stack. Core infrastructure is becoming extremely big boys play or a government play, right? You can be a service provider to that. You can help go build data centers, but you won't be able to finance them. Somebody else is giving you the money. You can be, and so by the way, big industry, you being able to help, pour the right kind of concrete, put up the right kind of buildings, put up the right kind of power lines, get the right kind of, there's a lot of business in that. But you're a services business. There's value in that, right? There's very high margin business to be able to go serve to the data center guys and help build out data centers. But I think your question is more around the context of the AI usage and where the value is, not necessarily the services.
And how it evolves.
How it evolves, yeah. Okay, so let's come back to the layers, right? Core infrastructure, we understand it's going to be held up with a few set of players and government. Models, right now there's probably 5-7 large players or popular global players. We've got our own versions emerging, Sarvam's doing some very cool stuff to get started, at least in the India context. Got a fantastic leadership team there. Good set of investors, attention from the right kind of folks in the government. We probably need a lot more of that, at least from an Indian context.
Local momentum, you're saying, in those areas.
Yeah, right. If you look at the global context, if every country went on to build 20 Sarvams of their own, then your question becomes very interesting, which is, can they all survive? Right? Where is the value in that? Right? That's the part where I give you my deep, insightful answer. I don't know. It's gonna evolve. In the application layer is probably less riskier, right?
Less riskier because it's easier to build. The TAM is bigger, to your earlier point, or
TAM is bigger. It's definitely easier to build. It's riskier because competition can emerge very quickly.
Yeah.
It's riskier because the model could do what you were doing,
and
you were like, why do I even exist, right? But I still say it's less riskier because the pie is very, very large and growing. And you could figure out a class of customers who are suitable to your services and still move forward. Is it a fantastic VC investable model? Is again a bit of a debate. Because ideally, if you're in that business, you should be able to get to cash flow very quickly and then just sort of scale.
And why do you think so, whether it's VC fundable model or not?
Just cash flow. Right?
Short-term cash flow.
Yeah, if they do reasonably well, they'll be able to get pretty good cash flow. Then, it's a self-sustaining engine. You don't need multiple rounds of capital to be able to. I'm not saying it's not a model, but it's going to be interesting whether they'll be able to generate that much expansionist ideas to need more capital and then hence get the right valuations.
And there's one thesis I have on this and would love your opinion on is, there are a bunch of foundation model, frontier model companies globally, like you talked about. And there are smaller model companies which are emerging, like Sarvam and other parts of the world as well. And how we access technology is almost always, even in the future, will remain unchanged. Either it will be devices or PCs, or in the B2B context, devices. industrial devices. So the models, it's a fair argument to make that the size of the models could shrink in those areas. And you could have vertical specific small language models evolving. What's your point of view on that?
So, in your earlier question, you had asked me, how does this, go in the future? I probably didn't answer it completely. It is, if done right, the intelligence will have to be everywhere.
True.
Right? It can't just sit in the back-end model.
Yeah.
We go back to our library example. When you're doing research, you want to research 100 papers or you want to research everything across the globe, right? You want to research what is available in the country or you want to research everything across the globe, right? Patent office problem, right? Compute is going to be everywhere, is a belief I've had for a very long time.
And it's proven from...
And it's proven, and we continue to invest with that thought process, right? Hopefully, we'll see how that shapes up more and more. But compute doesn't go away. And compute at different layers, our bet is that that's only going to increase, right? You just have to be in any room, in any office building, anywhere in the world, and just look around the room and you'll see, people like us look silicon, right? So compute is there everywhere. Now, there's fixed function compute, which is like fixed function silicon, which is like a power regulator. Right?
Yeah.
Just regulates power. Doesn't need anything more than that.
Yeah. In simple terms, it's a switch.
It's a switch, right? You build some fancy stuff in it, do some interesting silicon in it, but it's doing a switch and it protects everything else and ready. But then next to the power regulator is another piece of compute which makes a lot of decisions, right? Reduce temperature, increase temperature, bad guy, person of interest in a camera, hazardous environment, all kinds of decisions it's taking. Or in a Tesla FSD type environment, keeping you safe on a road which has multiple variable elements. So you will need a lot of intelligence in the car, even if it's not connected to the internet, even if it's not connected to the base model, to be able to get home. Like in simple terms, a very simplistic example. You're in a car, power outages around you, network drops off, satellite, bad weather. Your car can't stop and say, listen, I can't access the internet, so we're going to hang here for a while, right? Or I don't know how to make decisions. You're going to have to make decisions and keep moving, right? So all or enough, if not all the intelligence required to get you home safely has to be inside that car, right? Inside that silicon and the element systems around it. Similarly, you'll see this in industrial robotics. And I'm not saying you don't need to connect this to the core model or the factory model, but you will need to push out more and more pieces of, and we've been talking about edge IoT for a very long time. Now, the AI models are going to sit on top of it. The benefit of all talking of edge IoT is we moved more and more compute to the edges, right? Now you have the ability to put more smarter models on top of it. So to your question about foundational models versus smaller models and maybe how that evolution happens, instead of referring to any of those terms, all I will say is compute and intelligence will get further and further distributed at all elements of the stack, in all layers of your enterprise. The other point you made earlier was how we access the models, right? You mentioned phones and you potentially mentioned PCs. I would say much more than that, right? A lot of it is going to become ambient, right? Maybe you have a fancy watch, which is making a lot of, decisions. There's a meme I saw a few years ago, which kind of always reminds me of how tech can do this, right? It's like, this may sound a little wife joke, but I'll say it anyway. You walk inside your house and your home intelligence system says, I've ordered flowers on your behalf, right? And the husband goes, why? Says, well, based on the conversation you had in the car with your spouse, I figured you'd need them, and I went online and this particular store had $5 off on the flowers, and I know the likes and dislikes of your partner, so those should be arriving about half an hour before your partner is scheduled to get home. This is ambient intelligence.
It's a brilliant assistant, I must say.
Right. So it's got intelligence about you, your partner, your home, your e-commerce, your car, your schedules and the local suppliers and God knows whatever else is built into it, right? So that kind of intelligence is going to be everywhere.